Guys, if you see a Lady Gaga in the woods, do not approach the Lady Gaga. We repeat, do not approach the Lady Gaga. We're breaking down all the big spoilers, Easter eggs, and everything else from American Horror Story Roanoke, Chapter 3, live right now. Hey everybody, I'm Alex Zalbin, managing editor for TVGuide.com, here joined by Sadie Guinness, who is, as far as I know, not a feral child.
No.
Okay,
not yet.
Or not yet. Let's talk about Chapter 3. We're going to put up the spoiler in a second, but what did you think about the episode?
I thought it was pig-tastic. It had everything I loved. Kids sucking on a pig, decapitated pig heads. It was great. I loved it.
Now I know what to get you for your birthday. Let's put up that spoiler alert, you guys. We're going to get into some big, huge spoilery things about Chapter 3 of American Horror Story Roanoke. Let's kick it off with, as we mentioned, Lady Gaga. Crazy stuff happened with her in the episode. We found out the Butcher's origin story. That's Kathy Bates' character. She was put in an Iron Maiden, and weird things happened to her. But the weirdest thing was Lady Gaga. So what's going on with her? What do you think?
I think Lady Gaga is a Maenad. Forgive me if I pronounce that wrong. I'm not like up on Greek mythology, but from what I can tell, they're female followers of the god Dionysus, and their name literally means like the raving ones.
Yeah, sorry, there's blood spurting from a person's head behind you, but please go on.
But yeah, like they're sort of these creatures who thrive on like the vices, like excessive drinking, sex, all of these things. And like if you watch True Blood season 2, you will remember that storyline with Marianne where people would come together and they would have like crazy sex and no memory of it, much like Matt did last night. So I think she's some sort of like excess goddess.
Gotcha. Now, we should just mention, if you have kids watching the Facebook or the video right now, please turn away for objectionable content. Cuba Gooding Jr. had a little bit of a romp. I know, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to the show. I mean, our show. Had a little bit of a romp with Lady Gaga. I think he wanted her love, but they didn't want to be friends. Would you say that's accurate?
Is that a lyric?
Yeah, that's a bad romance quote. Don't worry about it. What do you think's going on there? What is happening with Matt? He seems to be in a trance. He seems to be enchanted by Lady Gaga. Does she have...
I think she has like this power of temptation where she's able to get people to sort of give in to their own worst instincts and like indulge themselves and, you know, like sex, eating too much, drinking too much, partying, roasting people on pyres. I think that's all Lady Gaga's influence, and that's sort of like her magical powers.
Yeah, this is definitely exactly like OJ, I think. Just a very short line for Cuba Gooding Jr. to go from one thing to another. Let's move on to, this was my favorite part of the episode, when they broke the fourth wall. It just fell down for a moment. Lee is giving a confessional to camera. She gets very emotional. She falls apart. She asks for a second, walks off, and we get to see the set. What's happening here? This blew my mind because this definitely ties into and sets up a lot of stuff that we've been talking about the last couple of episodes.
I think they're really priming us to break the fourth wall completely and have like the actors and the producers become a part of the show. It sounded like the producer in that scene was Cheyenne Jackson, and there's no way Ryan Murphy hired Cheyenne Jackson just to do like a couple voiceover lines.
Yeah, he's not exactly known for his voice, necessarily.
He's a singer.
Yeah, okay, he's a singer, sure, but he's also a very beautiful man. I'm just throwing that out there. Yeah, I agree, and we've talked about how there's going to be some sort of break in the plot, some sort of huge, massive twist at episode 6. So it seems like switching it around and taking it off of the confessional structure is probably going to come then, right?
Yeah, and Cheyenne Jackson, the producer character, whoever it is, definitely seems to know a lot about Lee. So I think we're going to see maybe more of the manipulation of Lee and Shelby and Matt in real life, and maybe he knows some secrets and he has an agenda and as like part of this show that like he's gonna do his own like evil thing with it.
Oh, maybe they're also ghosts. We'll have to see what happens. All right, from that little note, let's turn to a sad note because Mason, dear departed Mason, everybody's favorite character, was burnt to a solid crisp in this episode. So let's take a moment of silence and remember Mason. All right, that was probably all he deserves, right?
I think that was more than he deserved. He was a scumbag.
Great. All right. Well, Mason is gone. That's probably not the first person that's going to be gone. So keep staying tuned because people are going to keep dying. Let's move on to our next section, Connect the Dots. There we go. So, Sadie, we were talking about this a little bit before the show went live. This episode had a crazy amount of connections to the other seasons, or rather teased that we've seen connections that we didn't know were there. What can you tell us about this?
This episode really confirmed a very popular theory right now, which is that every episode of the first 5 corresponds to one of the seasons of American Horror Story. So in episode 1, we saw a couple buy a haunted house, like in the first season Murder House. And then episode 2, we found out this house was like a medical establishment run by like evil staff, which is a lot like Asylum. And then this episode had so many connections to Coven. Leslie Jordan played a witch in Coven who was a very famous and did like book signings. Could be his character in this show with a different name or just like weirdly similar.
Right. And I'll just mention, because we just showed it off, third season, that was the one with the Minotaur head guy, right? That had a bowl sewed on. And we've seen a lot of people with pig heads sewed on. So, you know, maybe a connection.
And Kathy Bates had the Iron Maiden put on in this episode. And in Coven, she was also imprisoned in a torture chamber. And so if this pattern continues, the next episode should hopefully be one about Freak Show, and we're supposed to be getting like an origin of the Mott family. So some people think this is where like Evan Peters is going to show up, and he's actually going to be playing like Dandy Mott's ancestor.
Oh, okay. Will we get to see Twisty again? That's all I want to know.
Oh, I hated Twisty. I hope not. I don't like clowns.
All right, but the other thing that's interesting about that is we're going 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means by episode 6,
which is where the big twist is supposed to be. I think that's when everything's going to break down and it's going to become maybe a commentary like on American Horror Story. Like the first 5 are like reflections of the first 5 seasons, and then season 6, episode 6, the wall breaks down and we get to see like the actors. Maybe that is Adina Porter. Maybe it's going like super meta.
Here's my theory. I'm just going to throw this out there right now. It's not based on anything. I think by episode 6, we're going to see Ryan Murphy in the show.
Yeah, like Ryan Murphy could be the producer of My Roanoke Nightmare. Like I think it's going to get super like snake eating its tail kind of situation.
All right, well, we'll have to stay tuned and see what happens. And now it's time for your section. It's Q and I gotta make that longer every time. Where you guys send in questions, you can send them in facebook.com/TV Guide or hashtag TVG Live on Twitter, or just hit us out at TV Guide or come to our studio and tell us in person, whatever you want. Let's get to the first one. Leah and basically everyone on Twitter says, "Where is Evan Peters? Where is he? Sadie, tell me where Evan Peters is."
I think he's going to show up next week.
Yeah?
I really do. Or this week, I guess.
Okay.
I think I don't know. People, this could be a rumor, but it's coming up a lot that he's part of the Dandy Mott storyline, and so I'm just going to like believe the internet. And that has never led anyone down a false path, right?
There was also the rumor, though, that Evan Peters dyed his head red because he was Piggy Man, which pigs are pink.
Dandy Mott's mother, I believe, had red hair. So it's still in the family, genetics.
There you
could
go.
work.
All right, all makes sense. Okay, I think we got time for one more question before we head off. Ari on Twitter says, this is a good theory, do you think Evan Peters is Priscilla?
No, but I think Thaisa Farmiga might be Priscilla.
Ah, okay. So we were talking about this a little bit the last episode, and there was mention of Priscilla, but we didn't see Priscilla. We didn't see Flora this episode. We don't know where she's went or what's going on with her. At this point, is Priscilla a good guy ghost or is she a bad guy ghost? What do you think? We've kind of gotten both ends of it.
I think she's a good guy because she tried to save Flora's life and the family, and the butcher is the one who said she's a bad seed, which, like, if an evil person thinks you're bad, maybe that means you're good.
And I haven't, to be honest, gone back and watched or listened to this, but when Flora is telling them about Priscilla, she doesn't specifically say Priscilla is going to kill us and Priscilla is going to kill me last. She says she's going to kill us and she's going to kill me last, right?
Yes,
So it could be the
believe.
butcher she's talking about.
The butcher definitely wants to kill them. I think
Right.
Priscilla has good intentions.
Yeah, we like Priscilla. We're big fans of Priscilla. Let us know who you guys are fans of in the comments. We want to know who your #1 favorite character is. We didn't even talk about Cricket. Cricket's everybody's new favorite character, right?
Piggy Man.
Piggy-
Piggy Man always.
Oh, come on, Cricket. Look at it. Look at his gorgeous hair. He's a beautiful man. I love Cricket so much, and I want to see more Cricket and a Cricket spinoff and a Cricket web series and more stuff about Cricket. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be here later in the week to talk about Chapter 4. And Sadie?
Stay spooky.